I think I was telling you, Kev, the other day I was driving and I was driving up to Scarborough to a hospice meeting and I'm on the board there and I was behind one of your trucks and it said it had one of the sayings, can you imagine a world where you're trusted, valued, respected, and heard? And as we prepare for our spring assembly, I said, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be nice to have Kevin share a few thoughts? So uh, I think it was, I don't know which bank convention it was, Kevin, but you spoke at one of our banking conventions, and it was either in Newport or Boston. And that was the first time I've heard you speak. And you just connected with so many of us who have this mindset about how do we build a culture where people do just exactly what you now splash all over your trucks. It's so cool. It's everywhere. It's what you talk about. Is what you do from your heart. It's amazing. But one of the interesting things, we're a mutual savings bank, so we're certainly for profit, but without stockholders, and you're a private company too, so pretty similar, I guess, in that regard. We just have to do what we feel is great for the bank and our constituents, which is our communities, the bank itself, our customers, and our employees. But we don't have stockholders who are expecting a certain dividend at the end of the year. So it does allow us to operate a little bit more, that infinite game over time, as opposed to I don't know, quarterly capitalism where you're worried about every quarter. What's the return? What's the annual return? But I was reading a book by Bob Chapman. I don't know if you read that one, Kevin. People First, I think was the name of it. But your voices are one and the same, the way you go about your business. But you had this change of heart, which you shared with us at the bank convention, which I'd love to have you just tell us a little bit how your mind went from, and this is where Bob Chapman went too. His mind went from profits to, hey, if I put my people first and invest in them and build a place where we help them with their life just as much as their career or their pay, that things will come alive. And Chapman just had that whole change of philosophy from a really hardcore CEO to about bottom line to we're really caring about people. And you had that same epiphany, and it came from your time. And I can't remember how you connected, but your time on the reservation and how you connected. And I think it was South Dakota with one of the reservations in the tribe there. Can you tell us a little bit about your change of heart?
Of course, and I love how you frame that, Mark. And I'll pick it up this way. I've come to believe that individuals and therefore organizations get whatever they choose to consistently prioritize. So if a person or an organization wants something that it's not getting, it is most likely just a case of consistent prioritization. And I made a decision in my own life as a person and a leader, and then we made a decision at our company, Hancock Lumber, that at work, we were going to consistently prioritize the people at work. That was going to become our first focus. I stood up about a decade ago at the Woodlands Club in Falmouth in a room filled with the biggest builders and developers in Southern Maine, our core customers. And I took a deep breath and I said to that room full of customers, I said, that old saying, the customer comes first. Well, I don't actually believe that's true anymore. And I was so nervous. It was the first time I said it. I was sweating. The sweat was running down my back. And our whole sales team was in the back of the room, and they immediately, like, their eyes opened and they focused right on me, and they were like, what did he just say? And where is he going with this? And so I went on to explain myself. I said, here's what I've come to believe. I've come to believe that the people who are going to take care of the customer should come first. And if an organization could do a world-class job taking care of its own, us taking care of each other, if the employees are thriving at work, then it's pretty much guaranteed the customer is going to thrive. And it's pretty much guaranteed the company is going to thrive. So we made our first focus meaningful work. That work was going to be energy giving, not energy draining. And this is where we were consistently going to put our focus. And we're lovably imperfect in pursuit of that focus, but we have been hot on that trail without wavering or flinching for over a decade. And it's transformed our company. You asked me, Mark, how I got on this, and it was a series of stumbles. I never, ever saw it coming. Almost 15 years ago, I'd acquired a rare neurological voice disorder called spasmodic dysphonia, which is technically incurable. Somehow over years I cured it, because at the time there's no way I could have done this. If you invited me, I would have had to say no, because I literally couldn't have done it. What it felt like at the time was every time I went to talk, someone put a seatbelt around my throat and squeezed it. And suddenly just uttering a few short sentences at the time was like this really difficult chore. This was right around the collapse of the national housing and mortgage markets in 2008, which was a brutal time for your industry and ours. And there I was trying to help our sixth generation lumber company through the collapse of that market without being able to really talk. And it hadn't struck me at the time, but as a CEO, historically, my primary tool was my voice. And suddenly I couldn't use it. And when it's hard to talk, you quickly develop strategies for doing less of it, just instinctively. And mine was to answer a question with a question, thereby putting the conversation back on the other person. So picture this age-old scene. There I am, Kevin Hancock of Hancock Lumber. People were coming up to me all the time with questions or problems, looking for guidance and instruction. They'd ask me what to do. And prior to my voice condition, I would have told them, do this, here's what you should do. But then with my voice at that time, I couldn't. So I started saying simply this, Mark. I started saying, that's a great question. What do you think we should do about it? Now, when I started this, I wasn't even thinking about leadership. I was literally in like health survival mode. But after hundreds of exchanges like that, here's what struck me. People already knew what to do. They already knew what to do. And they wanted to do what was right. So why were they asking if they already knew what to do? That was fascinating to me. And I concluded it was because of the culture we built around leadership, and it needed to be deconstructed, and something better and simpler and more inclusive needed to take its place. The people in our company, what they really needed was the encouragement to trust their own voice. And that's when it struck me that my own voice condition, which I previously only thought of as kind of a liability or a pain in the neck, was actually an invitation to lead differently in a way that gave other people a stronger voice. Shortly thereafter, quickly, because you asked, I somewhat serendipitously started traveling out to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in the southwest corner of South Dakota, a place I've now been like 30 times over 15 years. And it's Pine Ridge is the biggest, poorest, most disenfranchised of all the Sioux reservations on the Northern Plains. And there I met an entire community that didn't feel heard, that didn't have a voice. And that came from leaders who theoretically had at the time more power than they did. And this all got me thinking about leadership. It all got me thinking about the mission or purpose of a human life on Earth. And I concluded that maybe the mission or purpose of a human life is self-actualization. That maybe that's the one thing we all have in common. We're doing the best we can in a messy, messy world to try to find our own voice, our own never to be repeated voice, to know it, love it, live it, trust it, and gift it. to the trajectory of humanity. And then I said to myself, if that's the purpose of a human life on Earth, what impact historically have leaders had in helping those around them self-actualize? And my conclusion was it's not a great track record. There have been some enlightened leaders that we can think of and we look to for guidance, but in total, leadership had probably done more. Leadership as we knew it had probably done more to limit, restrict, coach, direct, exploit, and use the voices of others than liberate them. And it just hit me that that's not what I'm going to do with the rest of my time here. I'm going to try to create an organization that gives voice, not takes it. So we kept doubling down on that, and we've been doubling down on it ever since. And our people today, by and large, will define their experience at Hancock Lumber as energy giving, not draining, as meaningful, as empowering. We've boiled it down to 4 words, the 4 you saw on the back of the truck on your drive that day, Mark. It's on the back of all of our delivery trucks. It's this simple question we're in pursuit of. What if everybody on Earth felt trusted, respected, valued, and heard? Like, what might change? Just pretend all 8 billion people felt that way. What would change? I think it's pretty obvious. Everything would change. So where does that change need to occur? It needs to occur right in front of us. I've thought a lot about how change is created, and I've come up with the simple way of thinking about it, which I talk about, is within, beside, beyond. So first, I choose to become something different. I'm going to be someone that gets up and aspires to give voice and give power and self-worth to others. If I'm able to sustain that and others join me, ultimately we at Hancock, our team, are going to become something different. We're literally going to become something different than what we were together. And then it's going to ripple beyond. Our customers are going to have a different experience. When our employee team members go home at night or for the weekend, they're going to have a different experience. That changing the world it's a local job. It can seem overwhelming. You look at the TV, you pick up your phone, and it can be like, oh my goodness. But that's a mirage. That you change the world right in front of you. And you think about, I'll end with this, like, how does humanity advance? It advances one human at a time. And where are adults going to advance? You know, we're done school when we're 18 or 22 or 24, and we're actually just getting started. So now there's no more school. So where are we going to advance? If you wanted to advance humanity at the adult level, you'd have to go to where humans hang out. Think about it this way. And in this country, 170 million of them hang out at work. That's where they are. So this is where you have to do the work. And it's got the really cool added advantage, this approach of being able to dramatically improve corporate performance as an important outcome of a higher calling. And when we put the people first at a higher level, the people put the company first at a higher level. And it's no different than anything else in life. What you give is what comes back to you. And when we gave something different as an organization, we got something different, and we became a lot more profitable, a lot more accurate, a lot less stressed, and a much better company.
You and I think when we were having lunch at your office, you know, we talked so much, and I could have talked to you all day. I think probably all of us could talk to you all day here too. But one of the things we threw out, which I think you said, I haven't looked at it like that. Maybe you had. You've used the word a couple of times, but I shared with you, you know, how do we bring love to work every day? And you said, oh, that's interesting concept. And I think that is what you all do every day. You try to bring all of the components of love to your workplace, the trust, the respect, the understanding, giving people a voice. All of those are components of what you do every day. Can you expand on that just for a minute?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, Mark. I mean, you think about the historic work model, it was like check your feelings at the door. It's like the worst idea ever invented. Like love and caring and hope and aspirations and what scares you and what inspires you. Like you have to leave all that. And maybe on the weekend or vacation or in retirement, you can come back to it. It's literally a terrible idea. And so we're trying to welcome love back into the room. I try to use that word as often as I can. And more importantly, I try to live with it. Now, we can still be hard charging. We can be competitive. We can be attentive to details. We can hold ourselves, to a high standard, but we're going to do it with love. It's no different to me. The simplest analogy would be children. If you were one and had parents, or you are a parent or a grandparent and have children, love is the center of it all. And yet you're still gonna teach, you're gonna coach, there's gonna be accountability, there's gonna be candor. Those things aren't separate from love. Those things are all things that need to be done with love, with grace. If I need to exit this company, someone can take me through that with grace. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm not going to thrive somewhere else. It just means at this moment in time here, thriving is not coming my way. So it's taking not just the easy things to do at work and putting love in them, but the harder things to do at work and putting love in it too. We're trying to bring love back in the room. There's a healer I worked with at the time my voice was not with me, and she used to um, put it this way. Love is the cure. You are love, therefore you are the cure. I read this the other day as well, that love is it's relational. Like it takes another person or a group of people to do it. And so again, work is this incredible platform where we can apply it and elevate our performance. You can use love as a bar raising exercise. I mean, think about what love does. It lifts everything up. So why would someone think it would drop down the performance of a business? It's like, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, the only way things get lifted up is through love and candor with grace is a critical component of love. So you can deal with everything you need to deal with at work, and bring love into it.
Now, since you've implemented this, you shared, I can't remember the numbers, but you have grown to how many sites, how many employees now? You've had incredible success after you've kind of said, let's put people first, let's infuse all of this into our work culture. Tell us a little bit about where you stand right now, employee wise and location wise. And
Yeah, there's a lot of luck and good fortune and timing and things that go into any goodness, but we've probably roughly quadrupled in size in the last 15 years. I think today it's 18 locations, Maine and New Hampshire. I was just looking at it, 704 people and lots of great growth things before us. It's just momentum's real. So we took better care of the people, they took better care of the company. So now, among other things, we're more productive, we're more accurate, we're making more money, we're generating more cash. With no bank debt. I always love to tease my bank friends about this now. One of the worst outcomes for your industry is we don't borrow any money anymore because we generate our own. But that's a side note. But then you've got cash and you've got a strong balance sheet. And this is the other thing that really shouldn't have surprised me but it did. But when you create a culture of listening and every voice feels heard and is sought out, the organization starts making better decisions. We still make poor ones, but but in total, we make our decision-making track record is a lot better. And I've worked now for over 3 decades, and I've been front and center to personally making a pile of bad decisions, and I've been able to survive them. But I know what the cost is. When an organization makes bad decisions, the people within the organization are going to end up paying the price of having to live with or unbundle that bad decision. So like, it's valuable to make good decisions. And when everybody's being heard, the decision making gets better. And as our decision making got better, the deployment of capital got better. So all these things around love and humanness end up manifesting still in financial form, business language form, and the business just has kept getting stronger.